Alright, here we are with the Messerschmitt 108 wings. Of course they're in this nice little rack so we can roll them around. Again, you see a lot of the original paint that's on the airplane. And again, flush riveted design, fabric covered control surfaces, flaps, ailerons. Those are all in good condition, although we'll show you on one of the other flaps was damaged, I think, when the airplane was shipped from South America. And again, amazing airplane, completely untouched other than just layers of paint on the airplane. I've actually opened up a few panels in the aircraft to kind of get a look of what it looks like inside. No corrosion to speak of. All the paint, of course, is flaking off inside. There's dirt in there, there's rat poop in there, there's bird nests in there. These airplanes sitting around for a long time. That's what happens. All these little critters like to get in these airplanes and start laying, bringing all kinds of material in there. So we have to get all that out of there. You want to make sure, because that sets up corrosion. So again, that's part of the evaluation, to see what we have to do to get into these wings and clean them up. Now, of course, to do all that, there is large openings, as you can see, and you can access a lot of that, but there's not quite enough openings to get completely in here. So after I've looked at this roll, I think what I can do is I think we can just remove the bottom skins off the wing without having to do a large fixture, maybe a simple fixture just to keep it in line. But I've actually seen videos of them building this airplane online. They've actually picked the wing up without the bottom skins and they're carrying it through the shop. So I don't think it's a concern as far as removing the skins, but by doing that, we'll be able to access the whole inside of the wing, plastic media that, clean it up, get the corrosion out of it if there's any, repaint with a good quality paint to protect the aircraft, and I think that's a good plan for these wings. Other than that, they're just, I don't see hardly any damage. There's no dents on the airplane. I took the landing light off yesterday, which actually attaches right here. I was concerned about the landing light getting damaged. It's actually, we'll show to you, it's a large unit, it has this beautiful yellow lens on it. I was worried about it getting damaged as we took it out of the rack. Upon taking that off, I did find that somebody must have walked into the landing light or hit it with something, and they actually put a repair here. There's actually, you can actually see a fine, very fine line around here underneath all the paint. It actually did a very nice job, and they actually reinforced the repair up against, with a little angle up against the ribs, so maybe it wouldn't happen again. So that, something like that we may retain. If it's a good repair, we might just leave it there. It is part of the history of the airplane. Again, I don't like to over restore something. I like to kind of keep the airplane, you know, it's telling you kind of a story as you're looking at it, and I like to keep some of that little stuff. Now, if we decide to change the skin, we can. I think the skin only goes from here to here, so we could possibly change that skin, but that's something that we can evaluate down the road. Another thing I removed was the pitot tube, which was out of here. The pitot tube, again, I didn't want it to get damaged, so I pulled it off. In the process of doing that, I find yellow paint. I find yellow paint on the wings, which is really strange. There's cream, there's yellow, there's blue, there's red, there's all kinds of crazy colors on this airplane. So again, I'm going to try to knock some of this paint off and see what's underneath there, if we can find out if that yellow paint or some of these markings in here are part of the history of the airplane, and kind of give us a clue as to where the airplane was and what it was doing. Again, the plan for the control surfaces would just be to recover them. Both these pieces, all of them actually in very good condition. I've actually taken off fabric off part of the ailerons. I believe all those pieces basically just have to be removed, cleaned, and recovered. The original primer is in good shape. I don't think we have to go through any process of stripping the paint. They look amazingly clean. The ailerons look brand new. I've poked a hole in one, I've looked inside of it, and it's just unbelievable how clean they are. We'll kind of continue around this way, and you'll see where on the wings where the gear goes into the little gear wheel right here. Again, they had this little fabric covered, or kind of a tarpy tent material in here to kind of seal this off. Even though this is not usable because it's torn and broken, there's a zipper in here that's broken. That all can be used as a pattern. So again, like I said before, a lot of airplanes, that stuff gets thrown away. People just get rid of it, but it's there. We can use that as a pattern. It's just a great clue to putting the airplane back the way it was. Coming around this side of the airplane, you'll see where the wing attaches. These are the two locking pins right here that lock the wing in place. This is the lever that goes down to this right here, and this is actually where you apply the special tool to unlock and lock the wings so you can fold them and then refold them for flying. So again, all that's intact. The wiring in the airplane, as you can see, the ends are all good, but you see a lot of this, the casing of the wiring. This is just what happens over 80 years. It just falls apart. The heat gets to it and it distorts it and it changes it all kinds of weird colors. All the wiring will have to come out of the airplane. Fortunately, a lot of parts out there. We have a gentleman up in Canada that's actually building us a Messerschmitt 109, and he's actually sent me a lot of electrical components and pieces, and a lot of that stuff is still out there. A lot of it was saved after the war. A lot of it you can find on eBay, and we've collected a lot of it. So as we go through the restoration, we'll, of course, we're replacing the wire. Any bad fittings, we'll be able to do that. Again, sourcing parts is not that big of an issue. Amazingly enough, a lot of it was saved after the war. In between the two wings over here is the horizontal stabilizer and the elevator. I haven't taken them out of there yet, but they again look amazing. There's lots of paint on them, no damage. Those should not be a concern at all as far as rebuilding them. One of our concerns on the wings is this is the left wing right here, the right wing I should say, are the wingtips. Both wingtips on the airplane are magnesium skins. This one right here has got some issues. It's got a big crack down at the bottom here where this radio mast attaches right here. You can see where this has gotten broken off. It's broken through the skin. You have a couple options here. You may find some original tips. I doubt that very much. Of course, the process with parts for me is first, can the original part be used? In this case, probably not. You could probably maybe do a repair to it, but it might be difficult. The second option is, can you find an original part? So you do some research, you talk to some people. Hopefully, maybe there's another one out there, but that gets kind of hard sometimes, and some of these parts are very rare. So again, the third option at that point is to make it new. Well, before you dive into making it yourself, maybe somebody else has made it. So we start doing some research, talk to some people that we know, maybe to somebody out there that's produced this. And so that's the route we go. And then, of course, if nobody else has done it, then the last option, of course, is we have to do it ourselves. And I think that's something that Rick probably could do. I would probably go back to aluminum because I think to make this out of magnesium would be very difficult, although I don't know that much about it. But I would believe working with magnesium skin would be extremely difficult. But that's something we'll have to evaluate as we go. All right, continuing down the right wing. Another interesting spot. I just found this morning. Some more of this yellow paint, but not only is it yellow, there's actually a little white stripe and some blue. Now I don't know if this is part of some kind of a national insignia or if it's some lettering that's on the wing. There's actually some more of it right there. So again, before we strip this wing, we're going to try to carefully kind of peel the layers away and see exactly what that is. But again, as you can see, overall condition very nice. The Messerschmitt 108, like the 109, has leading edge slats. They're all tucked inside the wing right now. These are air deployed, gives the airplane the ability to turn sharper and everything. Those are all intact, no damage at all, amazing enough. No leading edge damage, which is just amazing. It's something you don't see very often. That's the first thing that gets dented on these airplanes is the leading edges. So those are nice intact. Only big problem here is flap on the right wing. I believe that this flap was damaged when the airplane was shipped from South America. When these airplanes are shipped, of course, we try to take a lot of care. Things don't happen, but as soon as you pack the airplane away, whether it's in a container or it's put on a ship or onto a truck, once it leaves your site, anything can happen to it. And I think that's what happened here. I think someone clipped this with a forklift or something else, and they damaged the whole trailing edge of this flap got knocked out. The inboard tip there got bent pretty good and cracked that rib. So that again, that's a project that Rick will take on. Pretty minor though. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. The structure is good. There's no issues. I think he can recreate the trailing edge and rebuild that rib without too many problems. So again, the wings, there's some more of that yellow paint right there, more of the yellow and blue, but you're trying to determine what that is. And then of course back to the butt end of this particular wing. Most of the internal structure of the 108 is this gray color. You see some of that inside the wing. I think it's LM41 is the color, and then there's that blue color again, oversprayed onto the gray. Again, it's kind of a mystery as to why it was oversprayed. I find it interesting because I don't believe it would have came from the factory that way. I think they would have been a little more careful when they went to paint the airplane, as they would have maybe masked that off. So again, we're not sure what this blue paint is. And then over back to see the tip of the other wing, and then the magnesium tip. The little rod out here is actually a handle. When you go to fold the wings, you can pull this handle out, although this one is jammed at the time. You pull that rod out, it gives something to hold on to so you can swing the wing back and hang it off I think it has a chain or something that holds it on the horizontal stabilizer. This tip here, not as bad. It's got a repair somebody made here on the tip, which is not the prettiest thing. But I think probably what's going to happen is we'll probably have to make 2 new tips, because I don't think either one of these really is usable. So that's kind of a good part of the wing there. Next thing we'll show you are some of the little pieces, the engine and the cowling, and a couple pieces that I've taken off the airplane already. All right, we talked about the engine before, and replacing the engine that's on it with the overhauled engine right here. Like I said, I pulled this one out of storage a while ago, like a year and a half ago. I was in there digging some stuff out, and the engine was kind of in a hard to get access, so I decided to pull the engine out at the time with the hopes of doing the airplane. As you can see, ready to go. Engine needs a little bit of cleaning up, maybe a little bit of paint work on it because it's been sitting a while, but overhauled, completely torn apart engine, so we're excited about that. Shouldn't give us any problems putting that back on the airplane. All right, on the rack here is some parts for the airplane. There's a little mix of Stecewycz parts in here also. I'm using the rack for both airplanes right now. We talked about the engine. We talked about the fact that we have brand new cowling. Here's actually one of the pieces that was done. I don't know who did this work, but someone really knew what they were doing. They took the original cowlings. They actually were able to reuse the internal former pieces, which, as you can see, are very complex on this, and make all new skins for the airplane. These are the little side cowl pieces that go on the sides that go across the exhaust system. These actually come off, so you can actually do maintenance to the engine. That piece is all ready to go. The top, it's all wrapped up in bubble wrap now, but the top cowling, which is the biggest piece, is ready to go, all finished. And then the nose bowl, you can look over this way. Of course, there's the bottom piece. This is the bottom cowl. Again, all redone, ready to go. It's all finished. And then the most amazing thing is the nose bowl piece. This was remanufactured. This was originally done out of, like, I think 3 or 4 pieces of metal originally welded together, but this was originally magnesium. But look and see the complexity of that piece. It's just beautifully done. I think it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, I think, that are worked, welded together, and then finished off. But when we got these from the people in England, we were just really very happy with the quality of that work, and that's going to make the airplane just a beautiful restoration. A couple other things that we've pulled off the airplane. Oil cooler is off. Sitting there, the 108 has a little oil cooler that sits on the bottom. That'll probably get sent off to Germany to get done, because they probably specialize in that type of cooler. That's there. I took the fairings and everything off. The original horizontal stabilizer fairings are all there. Magnesium. I believe these are. Maybe they're not magnesium, but these are all, again, reusable. Just have to strip the paint off them and reuse them. No issues with them at all. And the struts here, the horizontal struts, these are all in pretty good shape. These support the horizontal stabilizer to the fuselage. Again, there's some of that blue paint that we saw earlier on different parts of the airplane. But again, all this looks intact and usable. Very happy with that. And the landing light. This is a piece that I had to take off because I was so concerned about this getting broken along the way. I removed this yesterday off the airplane. You can see just how big this thing is. It's just beautiful. The yellow lens to me is just gorgeous, and I was so worried about that getting broken that I took it off the airplane and got it wrapped up here. And of course that'll come all apart and get rebuilt before it goes back on the airplane. One of the coolest things we found out when we actually started opening up the airplane, in the luggage compartment, of course, we found the original hand crank for starting the engine. We found a few other things, but the coolest, absolutely coolest thing we found in the airplane was a set of tools for the aircraft. We'll show you this first. This is actually the wrench that takes the gear off. Now, I don't know why that would be in the airplane. I don't know why you'd have to do that. It has a wrench on this end for something. We're not sure what that's for. And for the spanner for taking off the wrench. Taking off the landing gear. And then, of course, the other handle on here is the handle that actually is used to lock and unlock the wing pins. Those are both in. They're both in their original tool pouch, which is pretty amazing in itself. Now, that is something right there that is a little ratty and tattered, but I would not restore that. I would just put that back on the airplane just the way it is. You just don't want to mess with that. That's just too cool to replace that. And then the last thing we found, and we have to walk back over to the fuselage, is the toolkit. It was actually, a toolkit actually came with the airplane. So if we want to walk this way, we can show you that. We found this in the baggage compartment, and at first I thought, I'm not sure what it was. We open this thing up, and what you see here is a 108 toolkit. It's still intact, still in its original pouch, still with the little leather straps. I'm going to open this thing up and take a look at it, and you'll see, although I don't know if it's 100% complete, it is fairly complete. And as you can see, that's the whole thing right there. That's just fascinating that survived over 80 years. There's a set of metric wrenches in here. There's special wrenches for the plugs. There's a little special wrench for the little screws that hold the canopy glass in place with a little wooden knob. I love the little wooden knob. And this is a little spanner here that goes in the front for opening up a little port on the side, I think, which is maybe for pre-oiling. A little Zeus screwdriver on the end of that. Again, another little Zeus screw thing right there with a little special little spanner on the end. Again, these are all original tools that came with the airplane when it came from the factory. So you just don't see that. You just don't see that. It's such a find that this actually survived the entire life of the airplane, and nothing really got destroyed. Again, that's up the pouch will just keep intact. There's no need to redo that. And I'm just going to put that back in the airplane, and when we're all finished with the restoration, we're going to stick that in the airplane, so when we go traveling around the country on our 108, we have our little toolkit. So basically, that is the Messerschmitt 108, an airplane we're very excited about, an airplane that I feel very fortunate to be part of the restoration, because you just don't come across airplanes like this these days. To find something this original, this intact, and this interesting is just fascinating. Every time I look at this airplane, I come in, and the more and more I look at it, the more and more I'm in love with this airplane. It's just a wonderful design. I can see why the Germans love this aircraft, and I can see why nowadays a lot of modern airplanes even based on the 108 design. And so hopefully, as we go through the restoration, we'll do a few more mechanics corners. Actually, maybe we'll do a whole bunch of mechanic corners and kind of tell you how we're going to go through the process of this airplane and the restoration, and how we're going to return this airplane to flying condition.